Hi, it's Red-Headed Riding Hood here. Red for short. Um, Sometimes my neighbor, I guess, leaves the dog alone and they're crying. It usually doesn't happen for very long, so if you hear something in the background, that's what that is. But it's okay. I, poor puppy. This is What's in a Name, Part 2. Nowadays, one of the commonest ways of naming a child is just to give the child a name you happen to like. My two granddaughters are called Jill and Karen for no particular reason other than their parents liked the names. Although these two have other names which retain the family traditions. I have a painting that is the Warrioress of Love, which I got because I loved the painting and because my oldest grandchild is named Freya for the god of war and love. And when I saw my friend Diana's painting, this was in her art show last year, I was like, I want that painting. So I'm gonna leave it to Freya in my will, and I love it. And it inspires me. I told Diana that I just look at it and it just inspires me. So that's my thing about names. I have often thought that it would be a good idea to delay naming a child finally until you could see how the child turned out. See, they waited and they saw red on her red hair because they knew this Norse god had red hair. When they saw that her hair was going to be red, they named her Freya. So I think that's so cool. Because red hair is recessive and it usually does skip a generation. My parents did not have red hair. My mom was blonde. My dad had dark brown, almost black hair. So there is not much point in giving a name like Lynette or to a chunky little tomboy. It is unfortunate to saddle a small, self-effacing, diffident little boy with the name Hector, greatest of Trojans, or to call a young, tough Lancelot or Gareth. There would be something to be said for waiting for a name to fit. Do you hear the doggy upstairs crying? Chrysotom, who was I had to look this person up. He was mentioned yesterday and I didn't. I got it on my computer here, wait. I have to sign in again, wait a second. I'm gonna put the link below. He was a saint, John Chrysostom. I'm not sure exactly how. Reminds me of chrysanthemum, but that's not it. He did not like the candle method one little bit. That was in yesterday's devotion. Was all for giving a child one of the great saints' names and then telling the child the story of the name so that he would become more like the saint after whom he was called. I once knew a girl called Elizabeth Margaret. Okay, this is going to come up. I'm going to tell you why. Who was thrilled when she discovered that she bore the names of the most famous queens of Scotland and England. It is quite something to be able to tell a child to be true to his name. I believe, I don't know this for sure, but I think my middle name is Elizabeth. And my grandmother, who also had red hair, but she adopted my dad though, but she did have red hair. I think she was thrilled that her grandchildren had red hair because seeing as my dad really wasn't, she loved my dad so much. He was an only child and he was adopted, and she didn't even tell him. Someone at his school told him he was adopted. Can you imagine that? This was in the 1930s or 40s. My dad was born in 1928, and someone at his school told him he was adopted because they knew someone in the hospital or something, or that child's mom was in the hospital when his mom was in the hospital. Can you imagine that? So, but anyways, my grandmother's name was I think Mary, but they called her Molly. My niece has that for a middle name, but so she was from the UK. She was from Edinburgh, Scotland, and I think the Elizabeth came from Queen Elizabeth. So I think that's where my name came, Susan Elizabeth. And Susan, and I was going to tell you this because I think it was when I was naming my children, which was when in the 80s and 90s, and my mom said that she liked to have a Bible name. We all either have a Bible name or a family name. And I was like, but Mom, where did my name come from then? Because my name is Susan Elizabeth. And she said, Susanna in the Bible. And it is in Luke chapter 8. She was one of who ministered to Jesus. And Joanna, the wife of Chuza, Herod's steward, and Susanna, and many others who provided for him from their sustenance. So they would like feed him and stuff. And so that's where my name came from, because my brothers were like, people, I think one of my sister's boyfriends joked like, where are the other apostles? Because my brothers were Timothy, Mark, Christopher, Paul, and John, but it was Jonathan. So yeah, they joked about, where are all the other apostles? Where's the other half of the apostles? But yeah, so that's about names in my family. And my middle grandbaby, Lily, they gave her, and Susan means flat. Susan means Lily. And so I feel like she's kind of named after me because her name is Lily Elizabeth. So I think that's sweet. Because Freya has a middle name from my daughter's mother-in-law. And so that's names in our family. And I have my youngest grandbaby, I have not met yet, is named Noah, which I really love, and didn't expect. I'm not in contact with my daughter, but I like that name, and I like the fact that the rainbow is in that story, and the rainbow is in my Storm poem. So that's the thing with names with me. There are some names too sacred to use and some too terrible. In the New Testament times, Jesus was a very common name. It is the Greek form of the name Joshua, but it is easy to understand how both Jews and Christians ceased to use it. Just so, Judas was a common name, but in Christian circles, it became very rare. It is good to know the meaning of your name: Margaret the Pearl, Catherine the Pure One, Jane the Grace of God, Peter the Rock, Andrew the Courageous One, Alexander the Defender, Irene, Peace. It is good to have a name to live up to. And we have a name which we all share, the name Christian. Christ's man, Christ's woman, Christ's boy, Christ's girl, the name of the person who has been with Jesus and who is on Jesus's side. I like that one. Share about your name below. Okay? And don't say that no one cares for you, because I do, and God does too. Don't forget to pray for Red, because Red is praying for you. Bye.